All right. I believe we're live. I do not know what happened to my original video clip that had the Star Spangled Banner, but it is not here. So I guess there is that, huh? It's
That's
gone
weird. I thought because I had it loaded up last week.
in the
Hey,
no,
well,
not to the side. I'm talking the hard drive video clip. It's gone. It used to
oh,
be there. I don't know if you got.
well, I'll put it back into the hard drive again. Gunsinthe701.com, and hello, everybody. How you doing, Clay?
Good. Been an interesting week. Weekend. It did warm up a little bit, but it's been a busy week with everything that's going on out in D.C. And of course, our North Dakota legislature, 69th Legislative Assembly, is in session, and a lot of things going on there too.
Right. So we're going to talk about that later on tonight. We'll get with that. But the big news we want to talk about tonight is the
So,
Hegseth.
Pete Hegseth. But before we do that,
Well, let's.
we better start this off right.
Well, there we
Second
go.
Amendment of the United States, a well regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And that's pretty simple. To me, it's just never. It's never complicated to me. Hey, Eric, good evening. And if, if you're just joining us, we didn't really have a big intro. I don't know what happened to the video. Doesn't really matter. But we did get the Second Amendment out there, and people are starting to chime in. So,
There we go.
and don't forget, we're over on Rumble. Rumble is up and running. I see. I believe it is. It must be. Yep, there it is. I'm seeing it now. So if you want to head over to Rumble, we are there. I'm working on getting that integrated into our actual uh, platform here. We're able to do it now. I just haven't had time to sit down and do it. And thank you, everybody. We are now past the 4,000 mark threshold of public watch hours, which has made us eligible to start somewhat monetizing the channel. Now, what that means is I have to fill out the paperwork. I got part of it done. We've been approved by the commies over at CommieTube, and now I just got to submit some tax forms and stuff so that if they do start monetizing it and throwing advertising into our videos that are on file, so it won't come during a live stream, but you may see it if you rewatch. Just be
Hey,
aware with it.
it's
I
fine
did
with me.
set some pretty hard parameters so that we didn't get a lot of crap in there. I banned the pharmaceutical ads. They do let you do that. I don't give a crap about. I know they pay probably more, but I don't care. I guess we don't need them that much, and they can go to hell. I'm not putting all them pharmaceutical ads in there. So
And I'm
that's the
sure
way
sure
that is.
we'll have your local Democrats advertising on there. And then you know what? I say it like this. I'm glad when the algorithm puts them into our type of stuff because if ever there was a place for them to squander their money, it would be on our site. So I mean, seriously. So I look at it like that.
Hey, Brian Warner. Good evening, fellow MV. Glad to have you with One Shot. He's here. Good evening, Patriots. Dan Brown. Good evening, guys, and thank you very much, Dan. Um, just you and I, we have a mutual friend. I was on the phone with him earlier today, so I think he's going to be, like I said, one of the most pro Second Amendment governors we've ever had. Eric, good to have you on. Eric Glazer. Good evening. And yes, one quick thing. I think Jamie might come on later. We'll see, but the Brain Bucket Challenge is rescheduled for February 1st. That's right, Saturday's February 1st, out at the same range out there at Axis at the Rock Range.
Right.
Brain Bucket Challenge. So I'll be there. I'm not going to be gone. I should be around. So barring any bad weather or anything else, I'm planning to be there. Hey, Josh, good to have you on board. So again,
Wake up.
February 1st, Saturday, up there, we're having the Brain Buck Challenge rescheduled event. So you're definitely going to want to try to make it if you can.
So yeah, we'll get on to what Jamie's got going on. He's got some stuff coming on for his show for 701 Nation tomorrow. We'll be talking about that throughout the show.
Yeah.
Also, as everybody chimes in real quick, of course, once again, we're going to be talking about Pete Hegseth and talking about, of course, the confirmation hearings today. And he's going to get confirmed. I mean, I see that now. It's
I
pretty
have
much a
I
sure
have
deal.
I have no doubt he'll get confirmed. You know, and before we get into this, the worst thing I saw about this whole thing was the arrogance and the complete
Just
ignorance and ignoring both of the Democrats. I mean, the line of questioning was just bull. That plain and simple and insulting. I don't know how them guys do it. I guess they're better people than me. I wouldn't be able. I would have to, which would make things worse, and call them out. I do enjoy that the one representative called out all them guys about being drunk themselves or how they've been
Oh yeah.
businesses and they haven't been in them. It was great to hear him actually stand up and say that against these people because yeah, they stand there in their glass house and throw stones. And you know what? Most of them, you take old Turbin Durbin there. That son of a bitch has been there forever. Rush Limbaugh used to. That's who nicknamed him that, by the way. He's one of the most crooked senators I think in there, other than probably Schumer. But yeah. Hey, JD joined in. Speaking of, Jamie's going to be 701 Nation, episode 31 already. Thursday, January 16th, tomorrow, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Here's what he got for you guys. He says, how long do barrels last? Countries with the greatest number of civilian firearms. These numbers might shock you, by the way. How air temperature changes bullet trajectory. And the Happy Ending Chronicle. I like that. He's renamed that. Happy Ending Chronicles. I see a new tab on the website. The Happy Ending Chronicles. I like that. Yeah.
It sounds like something that should be in the Harry Potter series. I don't know.
I don't know. Never seen the movies and never read the books. I wouldn't know.
Right. Well, they like shooting a lot. It's just magic.
One shot says, goodbye, Joe. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Josh says 3D archery shoot this weekend in Nishu Bowman in Bismarck. It's always a good time. They're having a wood and wheels tournament Saturday night at 6 o'clock. You have to have a scoring round prior to the tournament. So just keep that in mind, guys, this Saturday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Wood and Wheels tournament. There you go.
Perfect. There you go. All right.
So let's get into this Hegseth thing. I'm going to start out and just say, like I said, I've watched most of that. And to watch the delusions. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing you watched it too. I'm guessing you had it on. I was watching probably a different station than you were.
Well, I was back and forth and plus using the internet more. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was watching on Real America's Voice, so I know that the morning show along with Steve Bannon's War Room and Charlie Kirk and Josh Posobiec, they all covered it as it was live. They just they come in and say, "Hey, yep, we're going back." But to watch the Republicans, as I figured would do, they want the guy, so they gave him straightforward, kind of softball questions. There's no doubt about it, and that's fine, especially when you look at what came from the other side. I mean, the senator from Hawaii, I don't even know. Does she have a brain? I don't think she even got a brain. The line of question, and then they'd ask him questions and not let him answer. They okay. Well, the answer to this question means yes, or the answer to your question means no. Okay, if you were just going to answer for him, why ask it?
Yeah. Well, I did have a good one here. Of course, one of the senators that was asking a question, who actually has an extensive military background, but at the same time shows the disconnect and sometimes just the, term limits on some of these guys that they don't know what's going on. And when you talk about Hegseth, you're talking about a man who understands what the military mind, the man in the field, man out there on the ground understands. And he doesn't talk like the generals that come from the War College. So with that in mind, I've got this clip.
For lawful authority, you have made statements to your platoon after being briefed by a JAG officer. Well, by the way, would you explain what a JAG off is?
I don't think I need to, sir.
Why not?
Because the men and women watching understand.
Well, perhaps some of my colleagues don't understand.
It would be a JAG officer who puts his or her own priorities in front of the warfighters. Their promotions, their medals, in front of having the backs of those who are making the tough calls on the front lines.
Thank you, Senator Reed.
Interesting.
Thank you, Senator
Thank you very much.
Interesting. Wow.
So interesting, right? Yeah, I seen that part. I was like, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure you and me, I've never been in the military. I know you have. Not that I don't wish I probably would have at one time, but Clinton was in the office and there was no way I was serving under that man. But I'm pretty sure you knew what a jag-off meant. I knew what they were talking about.
I knew what they were talking about.
I mean, this wasn't history.
Yeah, this guy was in the military. I wish I could remember the senator that was talking, asking those questions. He spent most of the 80s in the military. And I think he was Air Force. I'm not sure, but we all know what a jagoff is. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, if you spend any time in the military, it's like unless you were socializing with the upper class, and the officers' tent. I mean, you still knew what a jagoff was. So I mean, they were trying to catch him on something right there, and I thought his response was perfect. He says, "The guys in the military know what I'm talking about. Guys,
Yeah,
boots on the ground."
all they were trying to get him on I gotcha questions. I mean, that's what they were trying to do. And that was that simple. I mean, that's exactly what their intent of their questions was every time from just about every single one of them. And they made an agreement. I kind of like the way that the chairman ran that. It was one round. They actually had an agreement that all of them agreed to beforehand. And then, of course, the Democrats tried to falter on that. They didn't. They wanted to have 2 and 3 rounds, and they wanted this and they wanted that. And good for the chairman that said, no, this, as per our agreement, this is how we're going to run this hearing. So I was happy as far as it went. I thought Pete Hegseth did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
I think he owned up to anything. They tried to attack him for being married 3 times. I don't think much of that either. But does it hinder his ability to perform as our Secretary of Defense? I say no. And let's just take a look at a lot of these senators. I would love to go and look at their backgrounds. And then, they accused him, of course, of the infidelity thing, which I'm sure it happened. Okay. I don't think it again has anything to do with how you will lead as a warrior. And he mentioned that we're actually going to have a man in there this time, somebody who's been on the ground, been shot at, has led his men into battle, payable with their lives. He's going to now be in charge of the military. And, he basically made a comment in there about how it's time that if we're going to go to war, we should win. And I couldn't agree more. I think we go to too many wars. I'm pretty sure you do too. But if we're going to do it, go win, right? What's the point of doing it if we're not going to win? And yeah, you've got some more clips too. And well, go ahead and I'll let you go. And,
well, one of the ones on that one, of course, our favorite friend of the show, Elizabeth Warren, she had some questions in there. She was asking if he would pledge not to take a defense job after serving as secretary. Now, the background on that is that there is it's more of a gentleman's agreement that you do not take a defense job until 10 years after you serve, type of thing. But Hegseth is young anyway, so I mean, that wouldn't really affect him. But let's listen to the question real quick.
You're quite sure that every general who serves should not go directly into the defense industry for 10 years? You're not willing to make that same pledge?
I'm not a general. So.
I know, that was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing about it is there weren't delays in his answers.
No.
And it wasn't a bravado or anything like that. It was just straightforward, man in the streets kind of answers. And so, absolutely. I see it. I tuned over to the Mark Rubio thing for a little bit. And on that one, Rubio he's a senator and he
was a senator on that committee.
And, I don't know. He
answered it like a politician.
Yeah, he answered it like everything like a politician. You're right. Absolutely just like right
Pam
on that.
Bondi, although I think she's been pretty good. I've looked at her cases and her case files from Florida. I've had questions about her Second Amendment support. I do believe this, though. I think that she's going to restore some of the dignity back to the Department of Justice. They kept trying to, well, you commit to this. Well, you do this. Well, you do this.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it. I'd have been like, will you commit to not taking all these lobbyist dollars to go ahead and vote a certain way? Will you step down if you do, X, Y, Z? I couldn't do it. I couldn't sit there and take it. Yeah. So, I tip my hat to them because I couldn't do it.
The only thing on her that she was knee deep in a lot of the 2008 housing bubble that burst and stuff like that. And so, when you're middle of the tier, I guess for these housing loan services and all that. I mean, yeah, you're getting paid a lot of money to do a certain thing, and I don't agree with it, but You
You
know,
talking
she
about when she worked for the private firm that she was with?
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And she was right. So I heard her make a statement about one of the other things that is a private firm and $115,000 a month, something with over in the Middle East. That's a true statement, but it wasn't her that got the 115,000. It was her firm. She didn't see that. She just had her billable hours,
Right.
and she was hired in a private practice. This is what she did not work for a public entity. She did not work for We the People, either in Florida or in the United States. She was working for the client that hired their firm. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to
You're
represent
gonna
the client,
your
right?
client. Yeah.
Wrong or right as far as what they paid, it doesn't matter. That's what they paid the firm. That's what they
You
hired.
don't represent your client, you won't have many.
That's right. And let's just face it. Most lawyers are private practice, and if they're not representing their clients, I mean, that's what I started out to go to school for. A lot of people know it, some don't, but I started out to be an attorney, and I'm telling you right now that if you don't represent your client, you're probably going to be out of business soon, because who would hire you if you're not going to represent them and you have a history of that?
That's right.
And I do believe when she got to Florida as the attorney general, she seemed like she did pretty good. Like I said, there's things in her background, and they try to drag her into that in this hearing on the Second Amendment. You know, oh, all these shootings, all this and that, and red flag laws. Well, you know what? How I would have answered a lot of them things. Thank you for the question, Senator, you commie. But let me remind you that the Supreme Court has made several decisions. D.C. versus Heller comes to one. New York State and Pistol versus Bruin. Let's just look at those decisions and say, oh, that's right. They came down in favor of the Second Amendment and set precedent for historical standards on firearm ownership. And I will uphold the law to the nth degree as it has constitutionally been ruled. That would have been my answer.
Yeah, it's a good answer too. Wish you would have wrote that for her.
This is my wheelhouse, and this is, you know how me, I like this stuff, and I've been in front of stuff like that. I've testified in front of committees for several different things, legislatively and non, and they always have gotcha questions. They take little snippets of things you said. Let's just face it. I've been out there enough in the public between the NRA and this now that people like to take my words and then take little bitty snippets of it and say, well, did you say this? And honestly, sometimes I have to go back and review it myself and see what the hell I actually said, because I don't remember every single word I said. Do you?
No, I don't.
I mean, I did a radio interview that way, and I go, well, I don't know. I said, you've been on the air for about 30 years. Do you remember everything you said? Well, no. I said, well, neither do I.
Yeah.
I said, if I said it, I meant it. And I go, I forget what it was even anymore. I was out in Watertown, when I was doing the events out there.
Right.
And someone tried to basically, doing a gotcha thing with the NRA with blood on our hands or something like that. And
oh, geez.
I finally told him, I go, listen, what you just quoted back to me, I said, I don't doubt I probably did say it. I probably called them communists, because that's what they are. To me, you're a tyrant if you're trying to take my Second Amendment way. And yes, I have zero use for you, and I have no inclination to try and compromise with you. My objective is, and you've heard me say this before, is to beat you down to nothing. I said, think of it as a war at sea. I want to float my own armada, burn and kill everybody on your side, and then take over with my own fleet. I said, I probably said that. Absolutely, because I say it all the time.
Yeah.
And the silence from this guy was just amazing, because he'd never been talked to that way.
Well, no, because he's used to dealing with guys that are trying to compromise with him on the air. And that's what I find a lot of people. This is a lot of compromise on the air as well, instead of standing up for your principles and whatnot. I mean, I had the mayor from my town in the other day, and of course I did not do any gotcha questions on him, but I asked him some tougher questions, and and I think he appreciated it. He's looking forward to coming in each month and doing our questionnaires. But some of the things I was asking him was like, there's a $300,000 glow in the dark bike path they want to build, and
what?
Okay, somewhere, I don't know, Colorado or somewhere, they built a bike path that glows in the dark, so you don't have to use street lights. So anyway, it glows in the dark, but it's like 300,000. They want to do the largest one in the country. And I thought to myself, on the priority list, that's way down there on my priority list. Look, our rates are going up, our water bills are tripling, we've got people getting basically moved out of their houses because they can't maintain because the taxes keep growing, and nothing ever sunsets. We've talked about that before.
My first reaction to him would have been, well, Mr. Mayor, in all due respect, wouldn't it be a better use to take that 300,000 that you're going to budget for it, return it to the people in the form of property tax relief, so they may own the property a little bit more than they do now.
Yeah, I like that better.
And to me, if you're going to spend $300,000, yeah, I mean, it's not going to amount to a lot per person, but you know what? It's better than making a glow in the dark bike path in Mitchell, South Dakota.
Well, and we've had the conversation about bike paths many times. It says I do believe that it actually builds up a community to have those types of bike paths, but we know that bikes, the initial sale of a bike is the only time tax is ever paid on it.
That's right.
So if you're buying a $300, $400, $500 bike, whatever the tax on that is the only tax that's ever paid. So you get streets that are separated for you. You get all these different things. You get bike paths. You get roads that are widened for. I mean, how expensive it is
for a minority use.
For a minority use of people who aren't paying their fair share of taxes for it.
And I look at it like this: if they're going to build a bicycle path, great. Then I want an ATV path.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I mean, how far? There has to be a boundary of wants and needs. And anymore, it seems like, and it don't matter if it's Mitchell, if it's Lemon, South Dakota, the school districts are the worst.
Right.
Or our state, county, and local governments. They don't look at the wants and needs separately. They just, everything is a need, even if it is just a want. And they, you know, like I watched my dad, and I love my dad. Don't get me wrong. He was a city foreman for 30 years in Lemon. And him and I had a hell of an argument over budgets. I said, yeah, you don't really work a budget like I do, Dad. Oh, you know, well, he's a Democrat liberal. He said, I have to work with a budget every year. I said, no, I said, you put in a want list, a wish list. You know what you need. So you put that down in your budget for streets, water, and whatever else. And then you might add projects to it. And then you submit it to the council. And the council, in the end, will decide what they give you for money.
Right.
I said, that's not a budget. That's not a profit loss. So that is not a sheet that you produce to run your operation. I said, now, us, on the other hand, I said, our ranch, I know what I need. I know what the expenses are. And I usually got to add at least around 8 to 10% for inflation anymore, for increase of cost. And it's for the same exact items I bought the year before. And under Biden, it's been worse. If I don't, and I got to figure that in. Here's the catch. I got to figure that in. I got to have some kind of profit at the end, don't I?
Right.
I mean, you have to have that. And not just that, I don't know what my product brings every year. That's dependent on who's willing to buy it at the price that the market's bringing. So there's an added feature in that business because I can't just raise my prices for my product. Isn't it? I always think of this. If you were going to a bank, which a lot of people around here do for an operating note, which we do not, we are self-funded. Can you imagine? I just can't imagine sitting down with a banker going, well, I got to have $500,000 this year. I need this, and this, 10% increases or more. I'm probably going to have to replace this piece of machinery. You know, just you'd itemize it out.
Right.
And I can't tell you what I'm going to get for my commodity this year. So,
yeah.
You know, would you give me a loan? I mean, you know, I guess God bless them people that can operate that way. I can't. It would drive me insane knowing that. And I know that a lot of guys don't meet.
Well, we've dealt with so many guys that have worked in government that don't understand the concept of raising money and making money. It's just a bottomless well that they go to and throw their wish list at it. And then when it comes back to them, and then this and that, and then they want more. And then, of course, then they show nothing for it, and they fail up on most of their plans. And we've seen that in government many times.
Oh, it's rampant. It's rampant.
This is in the regular workforce, in my workforce in radio and everyone. I can't fail up. I mean, if I screw up, I'm out.
Your history.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I see happening right now. You take the ATF, and the ATF I pick on because they really affect what we do and talk about, which is the
right.
and you got an ATF director who is just worthless, right? Or was. Let's just say he was, because it's past. He's now gone. Again, those people though, when they do atrocities, if they screw up, you notice how they never disappear. It's like they fail up. They keep moving
There you
up
go.
the chain of command depending on what ideological person's above them. And that's not how that's supposed to work. That is not a bureaucracy agency that's for the people of the people. No, that's for the ATF and its leaders and what they can do to infringe upon us. I mean, that's what they've been doing the last 4 years.
Well, that goes back to what Hank says about the JAG is like, you know
Yeah.
what, you're working for your promotion, you're working for your medals, you're working for this and the advancements, but you're not working for what you're supposed to be working, and that's for the people.
By the way, speaking of the medals, I look at our past generals, MacArthur, Eisenhower. I didn't notice this whole big left side that probably weighs down heavier than their right side of their uniform on people today like Austin, and yet they've never really seen any battlefield in their life. How'd they earn all them medals?
Well, for every campaign that you're part of, you get a new tag, and that means if you're sitting 1,000 miles away and pushing a pencil saying, let's send these men over here to die, then you get that medal. You get that medal at the end of the things.
Oh, what you're saying is they kind of implemented trophies for everybody.
So my thing is that I
ribbons and medals?
wish we gave medals.
We used to
Our
give them for
government.
valor. We used to give Purple Hearts for injury during battle, silver, all of those things. Those veterans, won or were awarded with either in well, most of them in combat, actually happened because they did something very courageous and brave.
Well, our government fights giving out medals to regular soldiers.
Yeah.
It fights giving out Purple Hearts. It fights giving out all kinds of different things. Because one, they don't want to acknowledge a certain amount of blame or whatnot, so that that they don't have to put out so much on the VA or this or that. So I mean, it is constantly a fight for the working class soldier, the soldier actually out there doing the battles, to get his due. But of course, then the war college guys and whatnot that are the brightest and the best of us, but it's ROTC gone wild.
Well, everything went woke. Everything went DEI. I mean, let's face it. The last 4 years have been the worst. And I don't know what was happening under Obama. I can't imagine. Imagine that's probably where some of this started. But we don't have warriors. That's why, bringing this full circle around. I mean, let's think about this. You got Hegseth, and I don't think he's going to lead that way. I think he's going to lead from a warrior mentality, from a soldier's mentality. And I hope that he's able to do it. I think he's going to have to fire a whole bunch of people to get it accomplished and put new people in there.
We have historians that go back and find out that certain soldiers and generals and all that had mistresses and this and that. And, it's just it's the way thing is. Now, do I judge them? I don't know them. I never met them. So who am I to judge? But at the same time, I'm like going, it's something that they won wars.
They won wars, but they went to them wars. MacArthur was over in the Pacific and the Asian and the European theaters.
Well, Patton was one of the last guys, the last generals to go out there in the field and actually try to lead him. I mean, they had to fight him every time to keep him from.
Well, they demoted him too because he was a real leader. He was a real soldier. And that's what I'm getting at. So if these guys had some problems in their personal lives, I imagine they did. I can't imagine living with somebody that's like that. Wouldn't it be tough? Because they're so used to being in charge and fighting. I mean, that's what it used to be, that we trained our military to do what? Kill stuff and break it, right?
Right.
That's what we do, and win. We don't do that anymore.
And then the military engineers and all that could come in after the fact and rebuild it all again. That's fine.
Yep, and that's what we used to do. So, hey, we're half hour into this thing. We better.
I was going to hit one more drop here, and then we were going to go talk about Senator Eric Schmidt during yesterday's confirmation hearing about how he would address the issues of the problems in the military. Let me get that for you real quick.
You have to tear out DEI and CRT initiatives, root and branch out of institutions.
100%.
And then you have to put in Army, Navy, and Air Force secretaries and others, civilian positions at the helm, who are committed to the same priorities that the President of the United States is, and if confirmed, the Secretary of Defense will be. Send a clear message that this is not a time for equity.
So, right. Yeah. Pretty straightforward on that one from the senator there, I think.
Very, very, very straightforward. And that's the answer I want to hear.
Yep.
I'm tired of this too. I think everybody is. I think that's why you saw such a resounding mandate in November. I mean, I figured Trump was going to win. You had the Second Amendment people like us that we had no choice, really. It had to be Trump.
Right.
You had the military vets and the military people serving were tired of this. You had, I think, people, I really believe there's people in education were tired of this and are hoping for a change. And in that department, that's going to be positive. You just look at all the things that were happening, especially on our border and other things. People had enough. I mean, look at California, New York, some of these very liberal strongholds. We didn't win them, but we made a hell of a dent in them, and that's why he won the popular vote. So
yeah, there you go.
Vending Ballistics. Hey, glad to have you on board. Go ahead and give us a like and a share if you haven't. But you got here raising money is little risk with major reward in government. Well, that's true.
There you go.
It very much is so. It very much is so. So, hey, like I said, I want to thank our sponsor, Lauer Auto Repair, of course, right there, 701-258-6308. You're going to find them down on 309 South Washington. And, hey, Axe, thanks. You got my Tahoe in here a week ago. I know I didn't have an appointment, and I appreciate that. Just a great, great sponsor down there. Been with us from the beginning. Make sure if you're in Bismarck, look them up down there on 309 South Washington Street. And you're going to love the service you get. Get a hold of Axe right there, and he will hook you up with whatever you need. So with that, I want to go, and we'll just do a quick break. We're in a half hour, and we'll come back, and I know we got more to discuss on this.
Yeah, we do.
Located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Experience the exhilaration of power in your hands at Bloodline Kinetics. Why Cerakote? Simply, it aids in firearm preservation while also giving your piece a unique look. Barrel threading, NFA laser engraving, bolt handle threading, mount, level, and bore, sight scope chamber rebarreling, and much more. Bloodline Kinetics is meant to reflect a long American lineage in gun ownership, who stand for the Second Amendment rights, Bloodline, and the science behind gun accuracy, Kinetics. To some, it's just a constitutional right that can go away. To us, it's in our American bloodline, and we believe it should stay that way. Here at Bloodline Kinetics, we understand that hunters, sportsmen, women, and gun owners should have a quality firearm. Stop and see us at 2008 Morrison Avenue 2 in Bismarck, North Dakota, 58504, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 701-390-7997. Visit our website, bloodlinekinetics.com.
Anvil Brand LLC, raising and training tomorrow's barrel horses right out of Bismarck, North Dakota. Tracy and her family are great American patriots who not only support the Second Amendment, but they also promoted what you're looking for, top quality barrel horses. Go ahead and give Tracy a call at 701-471-6629 and tell them Guns and 701.com sent you. That's Anvil Brand LLC out of Bismarck, North Dakota.
It stopped. All right, we're back. Maybe. There we go.
There we are.
All kinds of glitchings. Hey, Gene, he says he's getting in late, the mayor over there, but that's okay. We'll just tune in. You haven't missed much, Gene. I'm sure you could probably put it all together here. Just let you know, Mike, during the break there, I sent you a link that will get you set up with our newest sponsor coming up, which is going to be Horton Laser Craft right here.
Yep.
We've actually been having them make some of these labels like this. This was a prototype that did a knife for me. And I got that on it. And of course, we've got some other things on the other side. Anyway,
Awesome.
great work. I've had him do a few other things. We even had some cup holders or kind of coasters, but I don't think I had them when you were here, did I?
No, you didn't.
So he's been doing a few things for us, and he's come on board. So we're happy to have him helping us out, and going to be a new sponsor. So check them out, and I'll have you put together something. There's a lot.
I will get it put together for him. There we go.
We appreciate Horton Lasercraft coming on board right out here. They literally live about I don't know, maybe 5 miles, 6 miles to the west.
There you go.
Glad to have them on board. All right, so let's get back to these confirmation hearings. Like I said, I'm in favor of Hegseth. I think he's very pro-gun, just from some of the other I've looked at. So I don't question that one bit. I think the nicest thing I see about all of these nominations is they are all pro-Second Amendment, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody always like, well, what's that matter in this? And it matters a lot. I'm telling you right now. I always ask that even of our public utilities commissioners and things like that when they're running. And what does that matter? It's because it tells me what your ideology is. If you're an anti-gunner, that's pretty much all I need to know about your ideology, because you can't have that thinking if you align with the Constitution. It don't work.
Hey, David,
I wonder if he's so. Hey, Fettig, are you on the road? Are you back from Seattle, or are you actually back home? That's what I'm kind of wondering.
There we go. On what you were talking about too is, when you ask these guys, these commission guys, these lower echelon guys, what their things are, it's because they're not just going to go into that position and that's going to be it. You've got what's his name? That's our congressman now, Dusty Johnson.
Oh yeah,
he started out at below smaller levels and then went up to the PUC and then worked his way up from that. Now he's in Congress, and down the road, he has an opportunity to move up into something bigger as well. And you've got to ask them those questions because they're all working their way up.
Rounds was in the legislature. Then he worked his way up, became a governor, and we won't talk about how he got put in there. But you and I both know how that happened. They looked at him as the nice guy, because he didn't say nothing. And was it Bartlett? I can't remember his name, but they had a hell of a fight between him and the guy out of Sioux Falls.
Right.
And people were turned off by it. And I think that, I look back at that election and Barnett, that's right. Because I was actually helping with that deal. And I remember one of the meetings, like, how do we fight this? I said, I don't know. I mean, the rest of us were like, I don't know. You got to address the attacks, but it were going to look horrible. And we did. And Mike Rounds just sat back. Well, Mike Rounds was not a conservative, never has been. And then he moved up and he became a senator.
Yeah.
And now, because of the way people are, they don't look at the accomplishments. They don't look at the failures. They never look at the votes. They got a 5-second clip memory, and they vote for the R or the party that they love the most blindly. They don't look at anything the person does ever. And
well,
and reelected.
I've always said
there was bitch about it at coffee. Steve Kirby, there you go, Gene. That's right, Steve Kirby. I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. But if they don't pay attention, I mean, Ravnsborg, who was our AG, his name is actually spelled Ravensborg.
Yes.
But it pronounces it Ravnsborg, and he ran against Stace Nelson when what's his name was running as well, and when Rounds was running. And I always thought that he was stuck in there just to take votes away.
Take Stace out?
Yeah, take Stace out because his name sounds like, it's spelled Ravensborg, but it sounds like Rounds. It was a big old classic cluster. But
and I like states.
And I think he was rewarded with the AG job on that as well. So I think that was the whole thing.
Could very well be. I can tell you that everyone, and I will say this, when it comes to North and South Dakota, coming from South Dakota into North Dakota, I will say, as bad as South Dakota is with that, North Dakota's worse, Mike. It truly is. I mean, I've never seen a bigger cabal to hold on to power than I've seen in the state of North Dakota. I mean, we're making some chinks. We're taking some pieces of the armor out, but it's been slow. But I'm telling you, just because the state of North Dakota, I think there's 6 Democrats between the House and the Senate total.
Right.
Doesn't mean there's no Democrats in that legislature. Most of them changed party affiliation and just ran as Republicans and got elected. So that tells you how blind.
Had an R in front of their name.
Yes, you got to look at their votes. It always pisses me off when I see on my ballot, the district judge this. I want to know what their party affiliation is. They don't put it on there. So I usually got to go find their name, look up where they've served in the district, and see how they've decided on cases. And you can get a pretty good idea which way they lean. They're supposed to be impartial, but very few judges are impartial. They really aren't. Yeah, Janie goes, you're correct. Rounds was not slinging mud. Exactly. That's exactly how he got in to office. And I can remember asking people, why'd you vote for him? Well, he seemed like the nicest guy.
Yeah.
What? I mean, he didn't say nothing. I don't know if he was nice or not because he never said nothing. He just let them two just fight it out and sling the mud. And and Gene, I'm sure remembers that just as well as I do. I mean, that's what happened in that election. And I still say to this day, Kirby was a self-made man, lots of money, he completely self-funded, and he was from the Sioux Falls area. And I believe he was put there to basically put Rounds over the top. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Dead Wolf Resistance, 13 rhinos. Yeah. There's a lot of them out there. Maybe we need a new hunting season, but don't take that wrong, everybody. For disclosure, we don't sell firearms. We're not a brick and mortar store, and we do not advocate for the killing of anybody.
No.
Did I do a good NPR voice there?
Yeah, I like that. It was good right there. You switch around. So we got another clip here real quick from Senator Joni Ernst to the south of us here. Of course,
Iowa.
She's a veteran. She asked Pete Hegseth how he would support women serving in combat roles, which was a big part of this.
Yes, women will have access to ground combat roles, given the standards remain high, and we'll have a review to ensure the standards have not been eroded in any one of these cases. That'll be part of one of the first things we do at the Pentagon is reviewing that in a gender-neutral way, the standards, ensuring readiness.
So basically being a proper Army.
Yes. And let's just face it, right now, those standards have been because a lot of women could not meet them standards. So they talked about doing the 2-mile run in, I forget how many minutes it was. And like the one guy pointed out who literally had served, he goes, that's kind of like a fast trot, maybe a walk. He goes, anybody can pass it. And they put it down to that standard because most of the women were failing out. And that's probably true. I don't know. When you talk about women in combat, I'm probably pissing some people off here. Really, like I care, right? Everyone knows that. I was brought up that you protect your wife, you protect your daughters, protect your girlfriends. You treat them with respect, and you keep them out of harm's way. I don't know. That's how I was brought up. I don't know. Maybe you weren't, but
I was a little different. See, mine is that you do protect your mom, your wife, your daughters, your sisters, and all that. But at the same time, I'd rather also them be able to protect themselves, and that's why this whole concept of them needing my protection all the time. And so, I remember back when I was younger and I was running my mouth a little bit. I might have had a few drinks and I was running my mouth a little bit. And I was dating a girl who actually was a bit of a bodybuilder. Okay. And she was very cute.
A woman, though.
No, not typical woman, but very cute. But she smiled at the guy when he raised his hand. She popped him in the nose, and he was more surprised than anything else. I lost your pick.
No, I had to just my
but she knocked him on his ass, and that was pretty much his embarrassment right there. So
I'm sure it is, and she is a very small percentage of some women that can beat up men. I'm just going to tell it straight out. Most people in combat, men that want to be there, I'm not talking ones that were forced to be there, which is not that many, and most women who are in there are not equals when it comes to strength. It's just plain and simple fact. They might be both trained the same way, but I guarantee you that the man that weighs 225 pounds and is built like a brick shithouse is always going to overtake a woman. And that's just not in our military. I'm talking the enemies. And I look at it this way. You look at our enemies who right now are most of the time in the Middle East, right? That's where we fight most of our battles. They're mostly of one particular type of cult, and that's the Muslim. And they have zero respect for women. I don't know about you, but most of the time they're not going to rape a man. Okay, they might kill him, but the men know that going in, as do women. But with a woman, and it's been proven because there was a couple of gals that it happened to, where they kept them alive and raped the living crap out of them for months after they were captured. They beat them profusely because they overpowered them. I don't know. I don't want to put women in those situations. I just don't.
No.
I mean, fine, they can probably shoot a gun as good as me. I have no doubt about it. I mean, I've taught people to do that. And that's great. But when it comes down to hand-to-hand combat, sorry. I bet you 9 times out of 10, that's not going to go well.
And I'll tell you, my 57-year-old ass doesn't do hand-to-hand combat anymore.
No, but our 20-some-year-old soldiers do.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. And I think that's what this whole discussion is about. I had to go pull up some of them old things that they were talking about with Hegseth, and that's pretty much what he said too. It wasn't the fact that he hated women or didn't think they could do the job. There are jobs for them. I'm not saying they can't be in the military, but I like the fact that they're allowed to fly in combat now.
Well, Duckworth, as much as she's kind of useless, at the same time was a military combat, a helicopter pilot. That's how she lost her legs.
Pilot, I think in those situations it's great because I mean, let's just face it, most anybody that's in the Air Force or there's Navy, we've got aircraft in just about every single branch of the military anymore. If you're piloting helicopters, planes, things like that, I think anybody can do that. In fact, I would contend, just as with shooting, women might even be better at that because they pay attention to detail. They have a place. I just don't think it's hand-to-hand combat. Gene Cox. He says, I was an artilleryman in the 90s, early 2000s. There was talk about women in combat arm units. A high explosive round is 96 pounds and has to be lifted. Also, hygiene problems were discussed. Exactly. I mean, so my wife, you know her, right?
Yeah.
Ranch girl, right? Pretty tough too, isn't she?
Yeah.
I'm still stronger than her. I can still lift heavier things when you start talking about artillery like that. And I've always thought of that too. Can a lady? I mean, I was watching, and I just watched this program, and it had nothing to do with the hearings. Happened to be watching some things with military and getting into Navy SEALs, or you're getting into some of these elite things. Anyway, it led to another episode. And they were talking about military artillery, shells, things like that. How they actually, when they put in their bids, they had to ask for the shells to be 5 to 10 pounds lighter because a lot of the female troops were having trouble handling them. Now, is that an efficient military machine?
No, it's not.
No, it's not. That's why I like what he said when he said, if they can meet the standard. Now, if the ladies can lift that and put it into those, anti-tank, whatever, pick your gun, cannon, then by all means, right? But if you can't, you should fail, just as a man should.
Yeah.
If he can't. So, I know I don't think we're that far apart, Mike, on this, but I do know that I'm pretty sure I've ruffled some feathers tonight for our female listeners, but that's just the way it is.
That's all right. We're not here to make friends, really.
Well, I think good discussion. If we were just in an echo chamber all the time, that's not good either.
Right. But let's hit the next one we got here real quick. We got when asked by Senator, your favorite, Kirsten Gillibrand, if his prior comments implied those with leftist views aren't welcome in the military, Pete Hegseth denied the claim.
Senator, I volunteered to deploy to Afghanistan under Democrat President Barack Obama. I also volunteered to guard the inauguration of Joe Biden, but was denied the opportunity to serve because I was identified as an extremist.
Now, the Christian tattoo was deuce false. Basically, it translated into as God wills it.
Yes. It is actually on the. I loved how they pointed this out during Carter's funeral. It's actually on the floor of the National Cathedral.
Yeah.
Yeah. It isn't the Maltese cross. I forget which one it is, but it's an actual a big symbol, and it's
Right.
completely about Christianity. It's
Right.
not a Nazi symbol like so many made out to be.
All of it. Well, anybody that is not look. The one problem that we have sometimes as Christians is that we believe that just because Jesus was a pacifist, we've got to be. And I'm sorry, but sometimes I think that we've got to fight in order to keep the rights we want. I mean, we've had a lot. We've had hundreds of thousands of, if not millions, of men and women die in our country alone, just to make sure that the Christian thought stays at the top. I mean, but
yeah, you're right. You know what? I'm so sick of the other side. They don't research. They don't do anything. Hey, thanks to you guys over there on Rumble. We're actually trending pretty good over there right now. It torques me off when you take the Democrat side. And let's face it, it was the Democrat side. It was. I mean, they were split on in that hearing is where they were sitting, and it was just one fake news story after another, and that was one of them. It wasn't true. It never was true, but that didn't matter. It's kind of like, and I keep referencing because I used to listen to Rush all the time, but it doesn't matter about the factual information, especially in the media. It's the narrative they set, and then they might apologize later on Sunday night at 3 a.m. on the back page, but they set the narrative and they run with it. It's just stupid. I put that up there. Dead Wolf says, I make enemies really easy. I just show up. Hey, I've been there. Trust me.
That's a good T-shirt. I'll tell you what, we might have to give him a free T-shirt if we make that into one. That's a good one.
I've never really cared much as if I was liked. I have plenty of friends, and they're loyal friends, and I'm loyal with them, and we're great people as far as what we do and do things together. I have family members that I care more about than anything, and then of course God. That's the only one I care about that really likes me. And I fail Him every day. So the rest of it's just there, right?
Right.
I am not perfect, and you talk about Jesus was a pacifist. Well, Jesus also lived a perfect life, didn't he?
Yeah.
The only person to ever do that. I'm not Jesus.
Yeah.
I am sinful by nature, and I apologize every single day in my prayers and ask for His forgiveness. And luckily, He had enough mercy, God did, on us that He sent His Son for that. And we should try. We should always try.
Yeah.
That's just not. Unfortunately, we are a sinful creature. But I'm not going to go down that whole rabbit hole. I think everyone knows how I feel about that stuff as well as you and most of us that listen. So, JD says, you can pray all you want, but eventually David had to pick up a rock.
There you go.
There you go. And that rock happens to be on a T-shirt that we made for Todd, the radio god, there on 5:50 a.m. Mitchell in the morning, which you can hear me every Friday morning.
There you go.
Put that in there. Maybe I can be a radio broadcaster now.
Well, you could take the pay cut if you want.
I can take a pay cut. Yeah, David Fetting says Crusaders were pretty mellow Christians.
That's the name of it. It was the Crusaders cross. That's the tattoo that he has, the Crusaders cross.
And I don't know if I think you got a few more clips, but when I listened at Senator Kelly, Mark Kelly, who, as far as I'm concerned, stole that seat in Arizona. That's Giffords' wife. No, we got it right. That's
the other way. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But yeah, that's her husband, and of course he's a big rabid anti-gunner, become a huge leftist. He was an astronaut. I can remember people. Oh, he's one of our heroes. I don't understand why astronauts were ever called heroes. They did a job that they signed up for, and I'm glad they did it. I wouldn't call them heroes. Hero, I guess to me that term hero gets thrown around a lot where it don't belong today. But anyway. And he did a whole line of questioning that was a bunch of BS, just as I figured it would be as well. I mean, every single one of these guys it was a gotcha moment for them, or they were trying to. I mean, it was just plain and simple. They were trying to get him, well, you pledge this. Well, you commit to this. No, he's not. He's not even in there. I liked how Pam Bondi today, she answered a couple questions that way. Said, I don't know. I'm not in there. I'm not privy to this classified information yet. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the case. And in all honesty, I don't want any lawyer, especially our attorney general, making decisions based on cases she's never read.
Yeah.
And that had to do with J6 people.
And I also don't want anybody going in saying that I've made some sort of litmus test that I had to bow to you and make a pledge to you, Senator, in order for me to get this job. No, thanks. No, where were you when I was working to get to this point where in my life where I am to get this job? Exactly. I've been on my own my whole life. So I didn't need to hold my hand back in the day.
And let's remember, every one of them that ran, they didn't commit to anybody. They got out there and kissed ass. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then turn around and vote complete opposite. I mean, we saw that transformation of Senator Thune, unfortunately, who I used to know pretty good. He doesn't talk to me much anymore, and that's fine. I don't care who you are. You could be the president of the United States. You piss me off, I'm going to call you out. And if you don't talk to me, I don't care. I helped on his campaign, helped it when I helped him defeat the sitting senator, who was a majority leader, ironically, in Tom Daschle, who was horrible. And John Thune has become what he always did not like. I remember when he was in the House of Representatives, we had to beg him to run against Daschle because we figured he was the only way to win. And he had a different ideology. He believed in term limits. He believed you could stay in D.C. way too long. That's why he stepped out after he filled his 3 terms as the representative in the House, because that's what he pledged. He's lost his way. He truly has. We'll see how he does. Remember, he was an ever-Trumper. We'll see what he does. I don't trust the man, but we shall see what he does. We shall see.
So we've got a defense secretary nominee hearing continues. And, of course, during yesterday's confirmation hearing, Senator Tim Sheehy, a former Navy SEAL himself, asked Pete Hegseth a series of questions to test his knowledge of military strategy and battlefield conditions.
What do you think our most important strategic base is in the Pacific?
In the Pacific, Guam is pretty strategically significant.
How many rounds of 5.56 can you fit into the magazine of an M4 rifle?
Depends on the magazine, but standard issue is 30.
And what size round is the M9 Beretta standard issue sidearm for the military fire?
A 9mm, Senator.
What kind of batteries do you put in your night vision goggle?
Duracell.
So right there, you're representing qualifications that show you understand.
See, there's a term there that's been used a few times that I actually like hearing, is the war fighter, because that separates you from the commissioned officer that's never actually seen battle, and the guys and gals that are actually out there in the field, that are taking the fire, that are taking the risk, and rarely getting the reward, as a matter of fact, because they get paid the least.
Yeah.
So the war fighter.
I like that. I love the fact they're calling that out, because, you know, if you were listening to the other side, question him about his qualifications because he was a civilian. Okay, he is a civilian now.
Now.
He wasn't a civilian all the time. The man knows more than most of them Democrat senators that were sitting on that panel question. Not all of them. Like I said, there were a couple of them that were military. But, I mean, this man, again, he went into battle, heavy battle. I don't know if anyone needs to go read. Just go out and check out Pete Hegseth and what he really did. Set aside his personal life because it's a mess. It just truly is. But the guy was a warrior. He truly was. Led his men into battle. Took risks. He was shot at. He returned fire. And then, you know, he rightfully so, when he got back and got out, complained about the constraints that the military leaders over here put on the troops. And he's absolutely right. How many times have you heard that, Mike? I mean, I don't know how many guys I know that come back and say, my gosh, you know, if I could have just engaged here and done this and done that, this didn't have to happen.
Well, wait a minute. So also you got military men and women out there that have gone through the divorce. Really? I mean, what part of reality are they in? I mean, you go through war, you go through battles, you come back a changed person. And you know what? Sometimes that's not conducive to your relationships. If that wasn't true, then hell, cops out there wouldn't be having the great divorce statistics that they have because they go through it all the time.
Cops, I think military soldiers, and I think cops probably are next in line as to what they bring home, what they go through. No matter how, yes, we talk about self defense all the time here, and we celebrate it because it is good. But I'm telling you right now, I truly wish I never have to shoot anybody. Okay,
Hmm?
I can't imagine what you live with every day if you shoot somebody. And granted, we send our soldiers into harm's way, and the reality of war is you're probably going to be forced to kill somebody, right?
Right.
Especially if you're on the ground, if you got foot soldiers on the ground. It's a little different when you're sending bombs down, probably from a plane. I don't know. I mean, it would still go through my mind that every time you drop them, you're probably killing somebody. I mean, it's a reality that you're going to live with your entire life. So, yes, I carry a fire. Yes, for self defense, as do you, as does Jamie, and most of us listening to this show. Will I use it? Yes, I will. Do I want to ever have to do that? No. I never want to have to say, I killed somebody, I shot somebody. I really don't. But the reality is that we are sinful people. Our leaders are no different. You may be forced to at some point.
Yeah, I mean that's just the way it is. So
So let's get to a few of these comments here. We've been kind of ignoring some of them. We apologize. So Gene says, "You mean Bragg is biased?" Yeah, just a little bit, right? Dead Wolf Resistance. If Trump doesn't have the J6ers released, I will view it as an act of treason. I think a lot of people will do that. I have no doubt that he's going to do this. So I don't know who's guilty, who's not in there.
I don't know if he's going to release everybody.
If
that's,
it was me,
that's the question.
I would be doing a blanket one based on the simple fact that the guys that are in there right now have never even had a trial, a lot of them. And you do have a constitutional right to a speedy trial. And it's a sham trial, the ones that have had them. And I would do it. I would pardon them blanketly. I really would. If you look at all, there's actually there's never been proof that any cop has ever been injured from a J6er. There's plenty the other way. But you got to remember, this took place in D.C., and that's not exactly friendly to anybody that would be considered on our side. But I think to end the discussion, I would pardon them, move on. If they do something after that, then you throw the book at them. But I don't think you're going to see that. JD says, I don't believe the Beretta is the standard sidearm anymore. It's now the SIG 9mm. I believe you're right. I believe that did change, I think.
Well, that guy was a Navy SEAL back in the day, so it's probably changed since then.
Yeah. And Dougie says, yeah, hey, LAUER Auto Repair. What soldier hasn't come back a little effed up? And that's the truth. Keith O'Donnell, who a lot of times listens to this show, he grew up here in Morristown area. I've been known Keith since we were kids. Guy's a fantastic guy, and he went in the military. He was a sniper, actually. I mean, I can remember when he was doing that stuff, and then I don't remember what he ended up in, but his Humvee got blowed up by an IEP. He was, if I remember right, he was the only guy that survived, and it took his jaw from down, from here to here, injured him very badly. It took him literally years to recover. And then I don't know how many surgeries Keith has had. He's truly a hero because he tried to do everything he could to save people there. And it did, it changed his viewpoint. There was no doubt about it. He's doing well, okay? I think his faith took him through that. He's been through a pretty bitter divorce. He now has his kids back, which have been probably one of the best things that ever happened to him.
Right.
On top of it, he lost his mother to cancer. So he's been through a lot. So it's him and his dad and his brother, right? And his sister. They're all growing, but that never goes away. Just because you grow up don't mean you don't have feelings, right? And I'm telling you, that man has been through more than anybody needs to ever go through and seen more than anything that anybody's ever seen. And yes, you come back changed. How could you not? Right? How could you not? I tip my hat to him because he survived. That's probably the biggest thing.
And, one of the things we've talked about it in the past is that the Project 22, I think, is where 22 soldiers commit suicide every single day because we don't have the proper care for them once they get back. And not all VAs are created equal. I think the VA that we have here in Sioux Falls is pretty good. But I know the one in Cincinnati that my father was in was a trash heap. And I think a lot of ones out on the East Coast sometimes are that way as well, especially in the cities. So they don't give the proper what you need, or you just throw drugs at it.
Well, and so I actually worked out in Wyoming. We were doing a remodel on that particular VA hospital in Sheridan. I'm telling you that I can't imagine things were good. I didn't hear good things either from the people that lived in the area, and you could see it. He literally every morning had a line of veterans coming there to get their meds. Well, they weren't getting their med. They were just drugging them and making them numb is what they were doing, and then sending them on the way. That's horrible. That's horrible. And you could see it. I mean, we watched it happen because where our job site was right next to where they did this.
Right.
And you get the top. We actually offered a couple of them jobs, and they turned out to be excellent workers, and they were so happy to have a job. And we got them off of the drugs and got them off of the booze. And they worked for us. In fact, when that job finished, and of course I was just a part-timer because I was helping my buddy out who was the project manager, and during my downtime. And they went with that. They hired on with him, and he took them all over the state of Wyoming. So all they need is someone to give a crap.
Yeah.
And get them out of that. I think that system's horrible. I'm with you, Mike. Now, I will say Fort Meade looks like they've been better. My grandpa used to always go down there. I know some other guys that go down there from here. And then he also had to use the facilities out in Minneapolis, which were pretty good. I don't know a lot because, Grandpa's been gone a long time now, so I haven't had to deal with any of the VAs. But it always seemed like when you have a Republican in, VA treatment gets a little better. Democrats come in, and I'm not talking the president. I'm talking Congress.
Right.
And that's horrible that's the first place they go for cuts, and they truly do. It's atrocious because if there's anybody that we should fulfill our promise to, it's men and women who protect this country.
You're right. Say, we need to take another break here real quick.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's get to a couple of these comments first here, and then we'll go to one. So, Brian Lauer, he says, if I was looking for a moral compass, I sure as hell wouldn't start my search in the U.S. Senate and any of these people asking questions. Boy, there's a lot of truth to that. David says he thinks it's the SIG M17 as the sidearm, and that could be. I honestly don't know, so you guys know better than I do. And basically, it's a 320. Of course, I think you just had the SEALs use the SIG P226. Nice gun. They found that the M9 wasn't reliable enough for them in training trials in the 80s. So there you have it. So, yeah, let's go and take another break. Thanks to sponsors, our great sponsors, especially Lauer Auto Repair, 309 South Washington Street. And I'm telling you, Doug has been with us since the beginning. That's why he gets so much press, you could say. 701-258-6308. Don't want to miss out on a great opportunity for great service, Lauer Auto Repair. Let's take a quick break. Not any quick. I guess this is our big one, right?
Right.
You got that loaded up. We're going to go ahead and go for that, and then we'll come back. We're about 8 after the hour, and we might spend a little more on this or maybe touch on some legislative issues. I don't know. I got a happy ending, too. Did you have a badass tonight?
Nope, no badass this week, but I am working on 2 right now. So
perfect. All right. We'll be right back after about 5 minutes.
Lauer Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake.
no mistake.
Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Experience the exhilaration of power in your hands at Bloodline Kinetics. Why Cerakote? Simply, it aids in firearm preservation while also giving your piece a unique look. Barrel threading, NFA laser engraving, bolt handle threading, mount, level, and bore, sight scope chamber, rebarreling, and much more. Bloodline Kinetics is meant to reflect a long American lineage in gun ownership, who stand for the Second Amendment rights, Bloodline, and the science behind gun accuracy. Kinetics. To some, it's just a constitutional right that can go away. To us, it's in our American bloodline, and we believe it should stay that way. Here at Bloodline Kinetics, we understand that hunters, sportsmen, women, and gun owners should have a quality firearm. Stop and see us at 2008 Morrison Avenue 2 in Bismarck, North Dakota, 58504, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 701-390-7997. Visit our website, bloodlinekinetics.com.
Ever tried catching a fish with your bare hands or hunting a deer with a stick? Don't be that guy. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we've got all the hunting and camping gear you need. We're your one-stop shop for outdoor adventure.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Check us out at mandansportinggoods.com, or better yet, stop in to 210 East Main Street, Mandan, North Dakota. Mandan Sporting Goods, where the outdoors meets functionality. Store hours, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Closed Sunday. Take up arms at Mandan Sporting Goods. Your adventure starts here.
Looking for the best gun gear for every and any situation? Little Angry Man Arms LLC has you covered. Top-notch guns from top-name brands like Winchester, Glock, Sig Sauer, and Ruger to essential extras from Magpul, Streamlight, Hollow, Sun Optics, and more. Little Angry Man Arms LLC have everything to make your shooting adventures a success. Visit littleangrymanarms.com today and gear up for your next big hunt, competition, or home defense. Don't miss out on our exclusive deals. Little Angry Man Arms LLC, based in Trail City, South Dakota, your ultimate hunting partner.
Anvil Brand LLC, raising and training tomorrow's barrel horses right out of Bismarck, North Dakota. Tracy and her family are great American patriots who not only support the Second Amendment, but they also promoted what you're looking for, top quality barrel horses. Go ahead and give Tracy a call at 701-471-6629 and tell them Guns and 701.com sent you. That's Anvil Brand LLC out of Bismarck, North Dakota.
Like Michael, the flow like Aubrey. Walk around thinking I'm a prince like Saudi. Mismatched Converse, t-shirts tucked in. Know my worth, can't tell me nothing. White Nikes, albino, can cop my stilo. Head to the top.
Oh, hit the button. There we go. Hey, we're back to Guns in the 701.
Doug says he concurs with David. That's just a comment from the last segment we did there. So yeah, Mike kind of mentioned that in the off here that he said we should hit some legislative bills. I'm all for that. So maybe we should.
There we go with that. All right.
So guys, I want you to kind of go over these. House Bill number 1411 is one of them that's going to be showing up. There's no hearings that have been scheduled yet. And what they're trying to do is, if you remember, we had the big red flag law debate here a couple sessions ago, actually, 2019, right. And we defeated them. Remember, Kirsten Baszler, your current public instruction, DPI, Department of Public Instruction, she got unfortunately elected to that. You want to talk about someone with no moral character? She's been arrested several times. She has been in domestic disputes with her boyfriend, had the cops called. I mean, there's someone that her personal life is a mess, and she's not good at her job either. But anyway, she was for it. Rich Wardner was for it. Burgum actually was in support of these. So I'm glad to see this piece of legislation come. representatives, those be Matt Heilman, Ben Koppelman, Dan Johnson, Casper, Ruby, and Tolman. Tolman's been a really good guy on there. He's a brand new legislator in there. And I'm sure that some of the new ones like Jared Hendricks and Dawson Hawley and those are going to support this too. This is going to basically affect, and I know this is technical stuff, but it's North Dakota Century Code 62.1-01-03.2 for reference. And it is going to be relating to the state prohibition of extreme risk provisions and to provide a penalty. What this bill will do is make it illegal to have red flag laws in the state of North Dakota. We're kind of done messing with this because it seems like it comes up every time. And I'm telling you, after watching these elections yet again, and it's just call it out where it is. It's the Fargo area, the Grand Forks area, even in the Bismarck area where you got your huge populations. They're starting to shift because people have moved out of their commie states they've destroyed, and they're moving out here, and then they're bringing the same crap with them. I mean, that's what's happening.
Yeah, why do they move from there? I mean, you move from there for a reason.
Well, I've talked to some of these people, and they sit there and they go, I had to get out of California. Really? This year, 2024, meaning last year, that was the last straw finally? Oh yeah, I'm a conservative. No, you're not. If you lived out there and was good with some of that, with a lot of it evidently, and it took you that long, you're probably not a conservative like you think you are. You're probably just not as leftist as the crazies out there. And that's why you're seeing these things. And you see some of these stupid bills. I'm going to read you one here about North Dakota's night sky for a week crap too. But anyway, what they do is they go through this whole thing with a risk protection provision with a penalty. They define arms. They define everything. Extreme risk provision means a rule, statute, ordinance, and ordinance is really a good one too to have in this. And guideline, executive order, or judicial order issued by a court or signed by a magistrate or other officer of the court prohibiting an individual who is an extreme risk of personal injury or death to that individual or another from accessing an arm by one of the more following. So prohibiting an individual from owning, possessing, using, purchasing, or otherwise receiving an arm, removing the arm. I'm not going to go through all these. You guys can look it up. Essentially, though, this thing here bans red flag laws in the state of North Dakota. They can't just come in and say, oh, we had a complaint and so called it in and they fear for their lives, no proof, and come in and say, well, we need to have a personal, or what they call it, a extreme risk protection taken out on you and take all your firearms. It's illegal to do that now, or if they pass it. So I'm just telling everybody, look up Bill 1411. I think this should be a do pass. I think this should pass in the House of Representatives as well as in the Senate. By the way, the Senate, it should do very well. So if you are looking to call your reps on something when this thing finally hits, there's no hearings on it yet. Let them know how you feel. Better yet, take the time off. I know we are all busy. I'm busy. Takes valuable time from my shooting range and my hunting capabilities and ice fishing when I have to do this. So, feel sorry for me, damn it. But anyway, Mike's just shaking his head. But go to these committee meetings, make time, do it, and go testify. Nothing scares a politician more than when you get up there and you fill the room with your people. Trust me on this. That's how we were so successful in getting stand your ground stuff in. We filled the room with our people. There were just a few in there that were against it, the same old lobbyists and people like that. You need to show up and let these people know that you're paying attention. And then call your rep. Don't be afraid to call them. Don't email them and text them. Call them. Let them know. So 1411 is one of those bills I'd like.
There you go. And I got to see that if there's anybody bringing that same one up in South Dakota as well. So that's one I've got to see on.
Yeah, it's let me look here. I got paperwork all over here. If you want to go through some of them comments, I'm going to bring another one up here.
So yeah, I'll go back to the comments here real quick. So we got, of course, my old neighbor from JD. The old neighbor moved here from Vegas and loves it here. Says that the politics had nothing to do with it, on how good it was in North Dakota. So we got that going up from JD. Also, I have to wonder, perhaps they are continuing the fake and stolen elections and making it look like the big city areas are the cause of the communist voting. I could be wrong, just a theory that came from Dead Wolf Resistance. Perhaps is what, but could be. Let's see.
Go to Eric King Top. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the bill referring to pronghorn hunting in North Dakota?
So I'm not sure because honestly, that's the first I've heard of that one. So, Eric, if you could give me a little more background on that, I could kind of look at
So there's no pronghorn hunting in North Dakota now?
Yeah, there is. Oh,
Or is this
I had a tag this year.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to go. I think, if I remember right, North Dakota Game and Fish always has a thing right on there about the legislation coming up. Of course, I don't know how easy they can try to make it, but tentative season open dates. Nope, that's not the one. I'm just looking for the legislative stuff.
Right.
But I have not Game and Fish legislative process. Nope, that ain't it. I do not know. Eric, if you have a number on that bill, I'd love you to chime in here, and I'll look it up because I'd like to. I'm really now you got me wondering because I don't know. That's one I do not know. I do know that there is a bill, Keith, Senator Boehm, he has introduced that, and it's going to ban baiting restrictions in the state of North Dakota, which I support. That's all about CWD, everybody.
All right. So JD just sent it to me. SB 2155, the number pronghorn gratis licenses issued may not exceed 1/2 of buck licenses prescribed for each unit.
What's the number again?
That is SB 2155.
I will bring it up here.
Not sure if there'll be a
pushback Senator
on this.
Cleary, go figure. Senator Beckendahl, Bosch, and Steiner. I don't know them too. Relating to grad, I'm going to go bring up the versions of this. I don't think there's no hearings have been scheduled on it. Just introduce. There's a fiscal note to it. I don't care about that. All righty, here it is right here. Resident that is an individual corporation. Okay, it's defining at least 150 acres of land that the resident actively farms or ranches, or a resident that is an individual corporation. Okay, we all know that. I'm looking for the changes, and there it is. Number of licenses issued without charge under. Now that's a quote free license. Now Dan says believes that the gratis tags limit to 50% of available tags. So number of licenses issued without charge under this subsection may not exceed, and they've crossed out the total number, 1/2 of buck licenses prescribed for each district. So what they're doing here, I can see this right now. So I can tell you right now, I'm against this as a landowner. And if they do it, I will shut down every acre I can around here. That's BS. I own this land. You're telling me they're going to take the buck tags, not just the total tags, the buck tags, take 50% of them, and that's all that's available for us as landowners? Kiss my ass. Okay? That's pretty straightforward, I think, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, I think it stands out. Yeah.
You can't give us our one tag. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
I don't need to let anybody hunt.
Why don't you guys just become South Dakota and let it be screwed up like we are down here?
I know what they're doing. The numbers are low because of mismanagement by Game and Fish, partially. I mean, we've had some bad weather. But to punish landowners, that's brilliant, Game and Fish. I mean, we have these fights every damn year. I don't know when it ends. I don't know when we send this message. Maybe we lock it all down again. You know, we've been opening it up. That made a hell of a difference in 2019. I didn't like what they come out with, but it was a start. And we've made a few other strides. But really, if I can't hunt my own land, you're sure as hell not going to hunt anybody.
Yeah. Well, like Game Fish and Parks, once again, is that key example of failing up.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody that's there.
And I can tell you right now, yeah, JD says, John Armin said that out-of-staters are pushing this antelope bill. I'm sure they are. How about this? I got a better idea. If we are short of antelope, how about we eliminate non-resident tags for that?
There you go.
I'm telling you right now, most of the antelope are west of the river. Plain and simple fact. Okay? And if you think you're going to limit our tags, where we feed and house and take care of these antelope and deer, by the way, if you don't think that's true, what we do as landowners, especially me here, I mean, I'm planting trees. Jamie does the same thing. We plant trees. We manage our pastures. I don't graze them down. I do things to enhance and make sure that the wildlife stay here because I like to hunt just as much as I love raising cattle.
Yep.
And if you think I'm going to put up with that and you're going to take and make half the tags available from buck numbers, meaning the licenses, meaning that there's going to be a lot of landowners. It'll be like us being in a draw in a way, just probably like a landowner draw. Then I will shut my place down to everybody except myself. And then I'll try to get a tag. It's that simple. And then I know, like we did last time with North Dakota lockout around here.
Was that 2019?
2019 and then 2020. We had this whole area around me, probably close to 20,000 plus acres. It was locked down. And I'll do
That's
it.
a good question from Dan.
I don't know if they support it or not. I don't know where this come from. I don't know if they're in support of it. And I got a big issue whether they're for or against or neutral. I don't think Game and Fish should ever testify either way or neutral on bills. They should testify as to what it affects the management. And that's it. That's their job. And, maybe that will affect their management. I don't know. But I can tell you right now, I don't know if North Dakota Game and Fish agrees with it or not. I do know that Senators Cleary and Beckendahl, so call your senators. That's that's one of Jamie's senators, and Representatives Bosch and Steiner are in on this. That's who introduced the bill.
Right.
Senate Bill 2155. I'm glad you brought that to my attention. Now I'm even more pissed from some of the gun laws I've seen.
Yeah.
So let's move on to another one quick. Like we're coming up here at
Okay.
8:30, 9:30 Central. So this comes from Representatives Koppelman, Casper, Marshall, Ruby, Vetter, and Lauser, and Senators Boehm, Castaneda, Clemens, Corey, and Meyer. This is going to be House Bill 1352. The reason these are all House bills is because I haven't seen any Senate bills come out yet related to firearms yet. So they still got a few days.
Yeah.
It's basically an exemption from liability for public and private entities and to amend another section and reenact it relating to possession of firearms and dangerous weapons at churches or place of worship. So they changed the public, basically, gatherings. They're not illegal to carry. I was kind of really looking into this like we've all known it to be in the past, and maybe it's even been extended not knowing this. Essentially, if you're at a public gathering, especially a private one, and it's not on public grounds and it's things like that, you can carry. But if you're drinking, you can't carry. And that's any
Right.
state. South Dakota still has that too. But this one here specifically now lifts the liability from a public entity, all public entities, essentially opening up the door saying, hey, if someone carries and they use their firearm, you're not liable as a facility or public entity or building or an owner. I mean, that's basically, I'm just giving you the synopsis of this.
Right.
They have eliminated the church or place of other worship, which I have ignored. Yes, I have ignored that. I'll just leave it at that. I don't care. My rights don't end there. I do look at some of these bills, and when I look at the actual century code on it, like ambulances, fire departments, things like that, where it's still prohibited, they don't distinguish between volunteer fire departments, which most of them are not an arm of an entity. At least in South Dakota, they're not. The Morristown Fire Department, volunteer fire department, which I'm still part of, and I ran the secretary's position, and I've held a lot of offices there. We are independent. We are a nonprofit organization, independent of the city.
Right.
So if we want to allow someone to carry there, we should be able to, right? And you
Right.
can in South Dakota. It is not up to the government to tell us that. So North Dakota is a little different because you have fire districts that they levy taxes, and there's different things going on a lot of these volunteer fire departments. I don't know about the rural ones, but the ones that are in your small towns. So anyway, that's just a whole nother thing. But this one here will literally make it so that you can carry in a church and it won't be illegal and you can't be in trouble for it. Thing is, interestingly, when I was reading through this, I didn't see any kind of a fine or levy if you violated the law. So
There would be a fine or a levy. Yeah.
yeah, Here's what it says, and this is exactly what it says. An individual who knowingly violates this section is guilty of an infraction. That's it. Now maybe there's a minimum fine for that. I don't know. Maybe Dan knows more about that. But there was no fine actually stated in this piece of legislation or in the Century Code itself. So, you going through some of these comments?
Yeah.
So Eric says, I agree with you on this. Thank you, Eric. And yeah, that's how I feel. There's no bones about it. I'm a pretty staunch property rights person. Dead Wolf says, I'll help you patrol it. Hey, I appreciate it. And if you came up here, I'd definitely have you out here helping. JD Smith, just an FYI, sounds like Governor Armstrong will be coming on GAT701 in the near future. Yes, that's the truth. To talk about North Dakota hunting and firearm bills. Yeah, we talked with him today. I think both of us talked with him and been texting. So, yeah, he's going to be coming on. He's a busy guy. We didn't want to really get him, you know, until he had time. And yeah, he loves coming on. So
awesome.
Doug Wolf says, no problem. What did Dougie say here? Did I miss something?
Oh, Doug talking about, I think talking about Armstrong.
He says, I can predict myself if I go to church and then have a beer afterwards at the bar, or I can't predict myself if I'm there. Okay. You know, I always looked at it like that. I never liked the idea that if you have any alcohol in your system, you can't carry. I think it's if you're drunk legally. I mean, if I can drive a car, I sure as hell can grab a gun and carry it. Obviously, if I'm of sound mind enough to drive a big 1-ton pickup at 65 miles an hour legally, 75 on interstates, pretty sure that I'm legal enough then to probably have control of my fire.
Well, I want you to think about it. And my more conspiracy side at mind makes me think this, that technically if you take a part of the sacrificial wine, you will have wine in your system, even though it don't register to the point where you're drunk, but that would make you illegal.
Yeah, so I've never been arrested for DUI. I have been pulled over and accused of it. And I actually failed their field sobriety test, which I'm sorry, I was plumb sober. And I couldn't, I don't know, it's a hard test and standing on one leg. It just is. And I know older people have trouble with it. So I did a blood test. Well, guess what? I had actually had a cold and had taken some cough syrups, one with codeine in it. But I mean, wasn't like I was drunk. Showed up in my system then. And it wasn't at a level. I mean, they were really harassing me about it. Well, your blood test is showing this and showing that. And I go, it could be. I mean, I did take some cough syrup with codeine in it, which would make me sleepy, not drunk. And I said it wasn't making me sleepy. I didn't like take a bunch of it. I argued with these guys forever at that hospital. They were going to take me in. I was like, you do it. I said, then I want a phone right now. And I'm not, it's not an idle threat when I say I'll call my lawyer. I will call my lawyer. And then I said, if they find that I'm not guilty, if we go to trial, so I'm suing this department for every dime I can get. And that's not a threat. I'm just pissed off. Long story short, doctor even come out and said, he's not drunk. Because he could hear the conversation. Because, I was pretty quiet,
Yeah.
And, so yeah, I was let go because there was nothing wrong. Were they doing their job? I guess, but obviously I wasn't drunk. I mean, this was obvious. But whatever. I was late at night, kind of around that time of closing. And I suppose I looked like just the person to be out there on that lone highway north of Pier. But anyway.
Oh hell, everybody's. Think about that. I mean, everybody driving out. Well, let's just pull over people because they're out. I'm like, that's bull.
And I did run into some of that once in a while. I mean, I ran into that as I was coming back from Dan's event up in Dickinson. I got down there to Highway 12 junction and turned and headed east on 12. And all of a sudden, I told my wife was with me. I was like, I guarantee you that's a cop following me. I don't know if it's highway patrol or sheriff's office. And they'd speed up and then they'd let off. I mean, he literally was riding my ass. That NRA vehicle wasn't doing a damn thing. Finally, pulls me over. Wasn't speeding, and he said he pulled me over for crossing the fog line. That was what I asked him. Was, "Would you pull me over for?" He said, "Well, you crossed the fog line." I was like, really? Oh yeah, he says. So where are you coming from? I said, well, not if it's any of your business, but from Dickinson, North Dakota. I'm an NRA field rep. But you probably knew that when you ran the license and seen who the vehicle's registered to. That who I probably was with. And he questioned the living shit out of me. I go, you know what? I'm done with this. It's cold out tonight. My wife is pregnant, and I'm going home. I said, I've done nothing wrong. I said, if you think there's more to this, then let's go. And he said, have a nice day, and walked back to his vehicle, essentially.
Yeah.
But there was an example, because it was late, and I suppose he thought he had an easy target. I may have crossed the fog line. I don't know. It's kind of a narrow road.
Well, let me tell you something. I've watched patrol cars go across the lines many times driving around. Of course, you got 16 different cameras and computers and everything else in your car. I don't even know how you could control your own steering wheel with all that crap. But hey, that's fine.
So, well, I'm going to go over one more bill. I'm going to also give you these numbers, guys. House Bill 1350, House Bill 1301, House Bill 1326, and House Bill 1296. And what I can do is maybe I'll hop on one of our maybe Facebook and probably put it on Twitter. I'll put them on there, all of the firearms ones. So go check those out. I'll try to get them up yet tonight, and so you can go take a look at them. I think they're definitely worth looking at. The one is I'm a little concerned with because they want to revert back to kind of what we had and make it if you get pulled over or you don't have to tell the officer that you're carrying, but if he asks, you have to tell him. Well, that's kind of going back to what we got rid of here last session.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that. I imagine it was a request from either North Dakota Highway Patrol or who knows what association. It's none of your business to me. It's a violation of my amendments of my Bill of Rights. You don't have a warrant. You can't ask me anything as far as I'm concerned about my personal property or my personal self and what property I'm carrying or don't, or even have in the vehicle. So there are some laws. There's some fixes to do here. Not a lot of it's going to happen this session because the session is consumed with property tax law right now, and it just is.
Right.
But that's just the way it is. Let's see. Dougie says, I can't protect myself if I go to church and then have a beer afterwards at the bar. Dead Wolf Resistance says, some of my best work of all time was done with a few beers in me. Hey, I think we all say that. Justin Mitchell says, they are not your friend. A lot of times they're not. Now, I'm not going to, I can't tell you enough. I've always said Dan's a hell of a good, he was one of the great ones. He really was. And there's a lot of them out there. Corey Lee comes to mind. He's the Stark County Sheriff. They are out there. And it's just like anything else, I think. The bad ones give everybody a bad reputation, and they do.
There you go.
But I think the most important, I don't always blame the officers because they go to maybe 9 months, maybe year and a half courses. I don't even know what they have to do anymore for training. But they're not scholars in the law. So therefore they should side on the side of people, but so many of them don't. And especially when it comes to firearms laws, I think it's better than it used to be. I can't tell you, when I was working for the NRA, how many officers I ran into that did not know the rules of firearms law in the state of South Dakota. I mean, they just didn't. And that's sad because they should. That's probably one of the things they should get most familiar with. Doug says, are we sure they don't have those records already of concealed carry weapons permit holders? I don't know, Doug. I always used to think they could look that up, but I have no clue. I really don't. I know South Dakota used to because just about, I don't know about you, Mike, but every time I'd get pulled over for speeding or something in South Dakota, they knew I had a concealed weapons permit. You know what the first question was out of their mouth to me?
What's that?
Are you carrying a firearm, sir? Now, South Dakota, you're not required to answer that for no reason. And I'd always tell them it's none of your business. And then the follow-up question, well, we noticed you have a concealed weapons permit. I said, good. I'm glad you noticed that. And then the thing about this is, if I was going to use it, I would have already done it. They wouldn't have had a chance to ask anything. Okay? So again, it's not really for their safety, because if you pick up a criminal, most likely they're just going to shoot you right off the bat if they really have that intent. So I don't believe in it. Still never believe in it. Never changed my mind on that. I've thought that way my entire life. But I also don't believe in speed limits. That's a whole nother discussion.
That's a whole nother discussion right there. That's a podcast. That's a new podcast right there.
That is. Dead Wolf Resistance 13. I had a ride in a trooper car once. That office was all over the road while he was on his computer. That's another great point. I've seen a lot of distracted driving from the computers as they're going down the interstate. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen that. So Jamie says,
no, I'm sorry.
That's right. He says the majority of the interactions I've had with law enforcement officers has been a good one. One or two were what was it? Lime Will Tizzle from First Blood. Okay. I think it means they were out for you, right? They're out for blood the first night. And there are them guys, as I was saying, there are always the bad ones that give everybody a bad taste in their mouth. And it's the ones we talk about, just like anything. There's always bad gun owners. There's always bad this. And yeah, we generally don't think the ones who are good. I mean, remember Dave, the sheriff down there, was on.
Yeah,
Dave was a great guy.
Dave Miles.
I mean, I can name more great ones than bad ones. I truly can.
Right.
So Doug says criminals don't have concealed carry permits. That's right. They don't, and they don't care. They don't care. They just don't care. So, all right. I tell you what, it's 20 to 9 my time. We need to take one more break tonight. Thank some sponsors. Come back again. Them house bills, I'll get them up for sure on Twitter and Facebook, probably yet tonight. Look them up. Call those who sponsored them, and if you're in favor of them, let them know. If you're against them, let them know the same. And then you're going to want to, I think, really pay attention and get to those committee meetings. That's where it makes a difference. Stop it in committee. It's easier to do it there than on the floor. It truly is. So,
when we come back, I got a little something I'm going to show you that I picked up for my, it's for my bug out bag, and you don't know what it is yet. It's my bug out bag. It's a little thing to have when you don't have any ammo, something for you to use. I'm going to do a video on it soon. And I'm going to see if I can get one to Jamie to do too. It's something to carry along so that if you want to hunt squirrel or whatever else, you can do that. So cool. I'll show that when we get back.
All right. You got to do. Want me to hit it?
Go ahead and hit it.
All right. Here we go.
Lauer Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Experience the exhilaration of power in your hands at Bloodline Kinetics. Why Cerakote? Simply, it aids in firearm preservation while also giving your piece a unique look. Barrel threading, NFA laser engraving, bolt handle threading, mount, level, and bore, sight scope chamber, rebarreling, and much more. Bloodline Kinetics is meant to reflect a long American lineage in gun ownership, who stand for the Second Amendment rights, Bloodline, and the science behind gun accuracy. Kinetics. To some, it's just a constitutional right that can go away. To us, it's in our American bloodline, and we believe it should stay that way. Here at Bloodline Kinetics, we understand that hunters, sportsmen, women, and gun owners should have a quality firearm. Stop and see us at 2008 Morrison Avenue 2 in Bismarck, North Dakota, 58504, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 701-390-7997. Visit our website, bloodlinekinetics.com.
Ever tried catching a fish with your bare hands or hunting a deer with a stick? Don't be that guy. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we've got all the hunting and camping gear you need. We're your one-stop shop for outdoor adventure.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Check us out at mandansportinggoods.com, or better yet, stop in to 210 East Main Street, Mandan, North Dakota. Mandan Sporting Goods, where the outdoors meets functionality. Store hours, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Closed Sunday. Take up arms at Mandan Sporting Goods. Your adventure starts here.
Looking for the best gun gear for every and any situation? Little Angry Man Arms LLC has you covered. Top-notch guns from top-name brands like Winchester, Glock, Sig Sauer, and Ruger to essential extras from Magpul's, Streamlight, Hollow, Sun Optics, and more. Little Angry Man Arms LLC have everything to make your shooting adventures a success. Visit littleangrymanarms.com today and gear up for your next big hunt, competition, or home defense. Don't miss out on our exclusive deals. Little Angry Man Arms LLC, based in Trail City, South Dakota, your ultimate hunting partner.
Anvil Brand LLC, raising and training tomorrow's barrel horses right out of Bismarck, North Dakota. Tracy and her family are great American patriots who not only support the Second Amendment, but they also promoted what you're looking for, top quality barrel horses. Go ahead and give Tracy a call at 701-471-6629 and tell them Guns and 701.com sent you. That's Anvil Brand LLC out of Bismarck, North Dakota.
Like Michael, the flow like Aubrey. Walk around thinking I'm a prince like Saudi. Mismatched Converse, t-shirts tucked in. Know my worth, can't tell me nothing. White Nikes, albino, can cop my stilo. Head to the top, bottom line is
And are we back? We are back.
We are back.
Quick one thing, guys. I just put these in the comments. The bills that are the gun bills. 1301, 1326, 1296, 1350, and 1352, 1411. Those are the ones right now. They happen to be all House bills. I haven't seen any out of the Senate yet, and none of them have hearings scheduled as of today before we went on. The other one that I'm quick going to talk about is it's Senate Concurrent Resolution number 4004. You're going to love this one, people. It's called the North Dakota Dark Sky Week. They want it to run April 21st, 2025 through April 28th, 2025, urging North Dakota to partake and observe and ponder and support the natural dark sky resource. They go into this whole thing about collision with gas or with glass from interior lighting kills birds. They're not worried about the windmills, evidently. 29% in North American bird populations. I mean, you should read all this, but the important thing was what I read in this one. Whereas, in addition to protecting the birds of the state, this implementation of a statewide North Dakota Dark Sky Week, they want you to turn off all your exterior interior lights and just be dark. In April, by the way. Anyway, it will save millions in energy costs, increase energy security, help reduce the energy carbon footprint and emissions, in alignment with North Dakota's Priority Climate Action Plan, which I've never heard of. Maybe there is one, but I've never heard of it. And studies have shown that soybeans and other crops are sensitive to exposure to light pollution as well. So this will help. Well, I don't know. Last I knew that photosynthesis requires sunlight, so I don't think the lights are bothering it. But and then they want this to if they pass this, then they want this all to go to state, municipal, and commercial building owners, operators, managers, and tenants, and have them participate, all voluntarily, of course, in an event to spread the awareness of light pollution and to voluntarily turn off all unnecessary lights throughout your mitigation or migration season. Then they want the Secretary of State to forward copies of this resolution to the Director of the North Dakota Tourism and Marketing Division, Director of the North Dakota Parks and Recreation Department, Executive Committee on the North Dakota Association of Counties, the President of the North Dakota Township Officers Association, and the Executive Board of the North Dakota League of Cities.
Doug asked a good question. Who brought this bill? Who brought up this bill?
So it's 3 Democrats and 2
you go.
Republicans. Senators Mathern, Rummel, and Representatives Foss, Hanson, Murphy. They're all from Fargo except 2 of them, and the 2 Republicans, one from Grand Forks and one from Dickinson.
Hey,
Rummel,
let's let this is a good idea that Dead Wolf Resistance has. Let's let Fargo go dark one night and see how good that handles that situation.
all for that. Absolutely. Why don't they do it? That'd be better yet. I look at this kind of crap. It don't seem like much, and I can even hear people go, "Oh, let them have it." No, this part about this is just again, and I imagine I'm going to do a little more research. I did not find out about this till literally I was combing through some other stuff and found it, and that's before we went on. But this idea about carbon emissions and the climate action plan is all things that I've seen when we were fighting 30 by 30, and that's the UN plan.
That's right.
This ain't conspiracy crap. This stuff is in writing, it's in resolutions, it's in policy. That's what really brought it up to me. I'm not sure who really is sponsoring it. I do know who introduced it. Like I said, this is resolution 4004. Just type it in there. You'll in the legislative search, you'll see it, and then contact these crazy 5 people. I think it needs to be defeated soundly. Send a clear message. I think it should be killed in committee, as far as I'm concerned. But there were no hearings scheduled as of yet. But there has got to be some kind of a environmental group or something like that back in this. I know there is. I'm going to get to the bottom of it eventually. But I could not believe what I was reading. Hey, we don't have time for this kind of crap this year. And who wants it? Here's what you do with this. There. That's what you do with that bill. Anyway. David says, sounds like a foothold in foolish malarkey. JD says, Senator Mathern is a leftist piece of shit who spoons a Joe Camp and Rob Portal. Love it. I love it. I love it. David says, so are we supposed to reduce security on Homeland Security requirements too? Why not, right? Total blackout, what could go wrong? Yeah. I'm telling you, this is just one of the dumbest things I've ever read. And it's probably insignificant, but it doesn't matter. We need to kill it and send a message to these people that this is stupid. So anyway, that's the last thing I'm not going to do the happy ending because we're getting long on time. So
let me throw this out there real quick. So, like I said, we haven't talked about our bug out kits and stuff in a while, but everything. But so we got the little thing here that if you've seen this probably on your social medias, you get the pellets and you can fire. You can fly. So I'm going to do a video on it and check it out and everything like that. They gave me biodegradable pellets, but I'm going to go get some steel shot ones. So
BBs, yeah,
I'm going to get some good stuff. But I got some rabbits around here that I want to take out, so I'm going to try that with this and
a modern day slingshot.
Yeah, basically it's just a variation on a slingshot, but it's compact and it screws together real easy. And so when you're talking about your bug out kit, you basically want to get as small as possible. So you put it in there and so there you go.
I like that. I do.
So one more thing I'm going to work on here and try to get some videos out on that and get Jack to do a little bit too, because he hates those rabbits.
What did I hit?
I don't know what you hit, but
that's different.
Here's a story about Clay and Mike. There we go.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
Anyway, so I like that idea. I bet I could even take that to the Capitol and I wouldn't feel so defenseless.
There you go. At least something.
Yeah. So cool. Well, I tell you what, that's all I have. Except I'm not gonna do happy ending. You want to listen in tomorrow night, 8:00. Jamie's coming on board, and I'm telling you what, 701 Nation. He's got a pretty good one up there. You got how long do barrels last? Countries with the
greatest number of civilian firearms.
Yep. How air temperature changes bullet trajectory, and the
happy ending chronicles. There you go.
Yeah, they're going to do something. I like that, Jamie. He says I'm going to go with that. I like it. I do. Jamie, one other note here. He says, I'm going to find it out here. I'm looking at all the comments. Oh, sorry. So we got North Dakota Rhinos need to go from Doug. Absolutely, I agree. Dead Wolf says, cool. We can say leftist piece of shit here. I do believe I belong here. You are more than welcome to call them what they are. Eric says, I'd like to see someone introduce a bill that allows coyote hunting with thermals year round. Eric, it's coming. I can't remember who's bringing it. What we did was I think it's going to be an amended bill as well, and it's going to piggyback off of the one. I can't remember the who was sponsoring it. I will find out for you, but it was sent to me by one of my representatives, and it's gonna introduce mountain lion to the use of thermal because we haven't been able to do that. And I said, well, I think we need to amend that so that it allows for year round because there's no reason not to have it. Game and Fish has opposed that in the past. There's no reason for it. If you're going to do it, it would have been done already. It's just like when they were opposing 50 BMGs. So, Eric, we're on it. We would love to see it too, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to, or at least extend the season through calving season, probably. And if you're like me, Eric, let's just say that 3S rules do apply. JD says, bring that extra large condom up here for the brain bucket challenge.
There we go.
One Shot says, great show, guys. Why? We sure appreciate it. And we do still have a handful of them tickets left on the Farm Bureau pistol. Like I said, we're not in any hurry. I mean, I am, but we're going to sell them out. I think we're down to our last, if I remember right, 11 or 12 from the counts that I got from all the people that still have a few tickets. So, yeah, if you want one, let me know. It's also on our website. And it's easy. You can go right there and hit the link, and you can pay for your tickets right away. And it's been pretty good. So if you're wanting 1 or 10 or whatever, go ahead and grab some. If nothing else, I might buy the last one, but no one can get pissed then if I win because I'll have a lot of fun. Gene says air temp and density, powder temp too. It's all working against the bullet. Absolutely. Gravity is not your only enemy on bullets. So that's about all I have for tonight.
That's all I got too.
Things, but I knew it was going to be a longer show. I appreciate everybody, tuning in. We had great numbers tonight. We were bouncing between that 15 and 20 over on Rumble. So thanks for listening over on Rumble, everybody. With that, everybody have a great weekend. Tune in tomorrow night, 8:00 p.m. Central Time, 701 Nation with J.D. Breck. He's going to bring you some great subjects. Also, don't forget Friday morning, 8:15 Central, 7:15 Mountain. I'm going to be on there with Mitchell in the morning on KFYR 550. And I imagine I might cover maybe a couple of these other bills on there. I hate going too in depth on them because I don't like seeing people's eyes glass over. But I'll give you the summary of them because I kind of understand what they're saying there. And I don't agree with all of them. There's a couple in there that I don't know if I'm really for or not. So.
And I showed this to you on our social medias earlier, but I think this is definitely a patch I need to get working on.
Yes, it is. And Mike can tell you that whole story one of these days.
Yeah, here you go.
I'll just say Fort Peck, Montana. And
bears are not your friend. Bears are not your friend. They do not hibernate when they're supposed to. I know that.
By the way, next week, I will not be on Friday. Jamie's going to be filling in. I'm leaving Thursday morning with a group of friends and my son and another son of one of the other guys, some classmates from back in the day. We're heading down the hills to do a little ice fishing on Pactola and Sheridan Lake, and things look good. We've been watching it, and some nice lake trout being pulled out there. So looking forward to that. Everybody have a great weekend. I'll catch you on the air on Friday. Don't forget to tune in to Jamie tomorrow night. And as I keep saying, hey, keep your powder dry, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see everybody here next week.